Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. Very pleased to be here today to talk to you about personalities and personality types. This topic is close to my heart. As our Toastmaster said, I was asked to do a personality test at work. And it was one of those Myers-Briggs tests, so I had to do all these different questions, about 400 questions. It came out that I'm actually extroverted before I do this test. And I was really surprised because I talked to most people that I know, and they would say, oh, Geoff's very quiet, he's very shy, he's probably introverted. I've done some research on many psychology magazines and journals and web pages to bring you my answer, first of all, to what is introversion. So first of all, can I have a show of hands in the audience? Who here is introverted? Wow. That's amazing. It's like almost everyone. And you'd think that Toastmasters would be a place where you have lots of extroverts. I'm really surprised. This is great. I feel at home. Introversion, according to Susan Whitborn, PhD, has many different dimensions. Introversion, extroversion, you can see them as being kind of like a spectrum. On one end, you've got all the extroverted traits, and on the other end, you've got the introverted traits. Some of those traits are, first of all, how easy of a person are you to get to know? Can people easily get to know you, figure out who you are, and what you like doing? And another thing is about comfort with others. How comfortable are you with other people? Two other ones, do you like seeking out social situations? So how often do you go to parties or prefer to stay at home? So for me, I like going to parties sometimes, but I also like having a nice glass of wine at home with my partner. I think everyone has a mixture of these different traits. And you might think of it as, like, as I said, a spectrum between fully introverted or fully extroverted. People fall within that spectrum somewhere. But you notice I didn't mention shyness. Because shyness is something totally different. People usually think shyness is the same thing as introvertedness, but they're really quite different. Shyness is more of a fear of social rejection. It's a fear of being in public or talking to people because you're worried that they're going to react negatively to you, that they're not going to like who you are. Whereas introverted is you're more just like, you're preferring to be less stimulated, and you like having time to be alone and recharge. So that covers number one. Number two, I want to talk about introversion and creativity. I was thinking maybe introversion and creativity are somehow related. And I did a bit of research, and this is something that came up quite often in the articles that I read. There was a quote by Pablo Picasso, the great painter. He said, "Without great solitude, no serious work can be done." And Susan Cain, who is a very popular author at the moment in this area of introversion and extroversion, she also says that people are more creative when they're doing work independently on their own. And she's done studies of companies showing that employees who have time to work on their own are generally more productive than people who are always subjected to group work all the time. You know, my office that I work at, it is an open concept office. We have lots of cubicles, but they have low walls. You can hear everything everyone says. And for people who are really extroverted, that's a good thing because they can just talk all day to their coworkers. But for other people who need time to themselves, it can be kind of distracting and less productive. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the question that I asked at the beginning. Can I change my personality? I would like to think that we can have some control over our personality. It has been said by some psychologists over the years that once you hit the age of 30, you're basically fixed in your personality for the rest of your life. And I thought that was kind of depressing because I didn't really join Toastmasters until I turned 30. And I wanted to change because I didn't want to be so shy, and I thought Toastmasters would help me overcome my shyness and become more extroverted, because those are different things. So I did some research. I found an article on the Psychology Today website. It refers to a study done in 2005 that shows that over life, people do change their personality naturally. They followed 2,000 people, ages 20 to 96, over a 15-year period, and they actually observed people's personalities are kind of like modulating, changing. I'm not going to go into too much detail of how these people's personality was changing. One example is, as they got older, their excitement-seeking personality kind of decreased, but their assertiveness increased all the way to age 70. This is interesting research that shows that people's personalities can change. And that gave me a lot of hope, because I know that through Toastmasters, I can learn those skills of being extroverted. I can get the skills of wanting to be with people and getting energy from being with others. So in conclusion, I think we need both kinds of people in the world. We need extroverted people, we need introverted people. Steve Jobs was very extroverted, but in many times throughout his career, he partnered with very introverted people, such as Steve Wozniak, who was one of the other two founders of Apple, who was a very introverted person who liked going to his basement and inventing fancy computers. So we need both people in this world, and life would be meaningless without the love and friendship of others. So even if you're introverted, enjoy the creativity, but also seek out and talk to other people.